Hello, everyone. Welcome to the BioC Soccer Network. We here once again, the Orange and Blue Blueprints here. As always, I'm your host, Mandy here, going to talk about your weekly dash updates podcast. Fortunately, Diego won't be here with us today. He has traveling to do, so he won't be with us. But yet, I have here a special guest with me, my boy OSG. How you doing, man?
What's up, Manny? Good to be here. Glad to be here on Bio City Soccer Podcast. Orange and Blueprints, man. Uh, Glad to have you here, man. I'm excited to talk Dash. Thank you for the invite.
No, I appreciate OSG, from Foxtrot, but he always does everything good, man. You always hear him in the weekends. You always hear the Surge, you know, chat always in La Hincha, but always here, man. Always good, great to have you. Well, OSG, it's been an interesting weekend for the Houston Dash. We're gonna hear recap, the game and what we thought about it, and also we're gonna talk about also the preview for Chicago on Sunday. So let's get started with the game on Friday. Sadly, the Houston Dash lost 2-1 to the Washington Spirit, but overall thoughts on the game, OSG.
I think for what we were expecting and a lot of not knowing, there's a lot of positives and a lot of silver linings coming out of this game, and a lot to work with, and a lot of belief, a lot of not a lot of belief. Sorry, a lot of first impressions for Fabrice in his debut, and with the lineup that he's got and the the roster. Good impressions for opening day.
Yeah, yeah. I think going to this game, it was so much unknowns. Basically a new lineup. A lot of different players. A lot of people shifted, and you don't know. I think coming in, you don't know a lot about Fabrice and his style. You don't know about what he style of play is going to be. You kind of noticed that with North Carolina Courage, but he was the assistant coach. He wasn't the one dictating the tempo or the game plan. But you saw a different dash in this game. I think most importantly, the additions. What additions from the team impressed you the most in this game, OSG?
Oh man, I mean the this. I mean, there was a highlight after the sub, but I mean, Yasmin Ryan, the biggest addition of all. We got to talk about her first, obviously, and great addition. Maybe not the greatest debut for the Dash, but I mean, she was different. Made a little bit of a difference. Showed the spark, but Washington focused on her, and they kind of focused on that side. So if we can take advantage of the opening on the other side, Barb was open a lot on that opposite side, so there were advantages to take. But Yasmin was something that was just. I'm glad she made her debut. Get comfortable. Second game in the stadium, man.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, her first game was with the U.S. Women's national team. So she's already used to the surroundings, but definitely. And I thought it was interesting how she was using the game. On the lineup, she had her was on the striker and Messiah Bright on the left side, but you can see during the game they were always switching. I think, like you said, Washington had her locked on, and so it would just keep being Washington guessing, and it helped in his transition, as well to get the ball up, to get also Messiah both up, off the pitch. I think that was a real good, interesting. But I think for me, the player that impacted the team more was Delaney. She
Yeah.
because I think within the first minutes she had a shot, and it was like a shot like by coincidence. She made the whole play for herself. She got open space, you got through some Washington defenders, and if she was a little bit more clinical, it was hard. The ball went through a defender. and of course the goalkeeper parries it. But I think if it wasn't for that, I think she would have made the first goal for the team. But I think for me, she was outstanding. That was for my takeaways. But sadly, she didn't wasn't the first goal to made for the team. It was actually the rookie, Maggie Graham. What you thought about her performance as a rookie and coming as a the sub in the second half?
A lot of hype coming into the game to begin with, and then a lot of hope. And we've heard it listening to y'all on your podcast, and on ours, and just Theo Lloyd as well, just hyping up Maggie Graham and what she did for Duke. And so we had a lot of hope for her coming in, and she made it almost made an immediate spark when she was pressing, like less than like a minute in, and pressing on Washington, and made a factor. But to come in and just to be in the right place at the right time, and talking about how she was playing the six pretty much, but had the free realm to do what she needed to do, and Fabrice gave her that option to do what she needed to do, involve herself where she needed to be. And I like it shows a lot of intelligence and soccer IQ. And the hype, one game in, the hype seems to be very real, and she's going to be there's a lot of potential there out of this player. And watch out, Maggie. Already having fun with her, and she's a professional in front of the camera as well.
I think two things like Jeff Strong. She did look pretty good at the game. I think what took me back was when we had the post game press conference. Her first words were like Fabrice told her that you're free to do anything. I was like, when a coach tells you that, especially to a rookie, it just instills a lot of confidence in that player. So that was something that really caught me off guard. Like, okay, this is what this team and this coach believes in her, and I get it. Maybe not to start her off the bat in their first professional game, but I think this is just a real platform to push her up, maybe for the next game. But I thought for sure it was going to be Delaney Shion and her in the midfield, but it would happen to be Sophie Schmidt. I think I kind of like that balance. Sophie Schmidt offers that experience, offers that stability, and while Delaney Shion, had that pace, that grit, going back and forth the pitch. So I think for me, I was really good on that. But I think Jeff Strong says, I really want to know what the coach said at halftime. Do you remember what he said on the post game conference? OSG.
Yeah, absolutely. He said the girls did not believe in themselves and believe what they've been working on the entire time. It was not tactics. It was not the game they were taught. It was the disbelief in the effort that they were putting out, and to stop it. They showed spaces, and the coaches came along and showed spaces that were available to them and take advantage of against the team. But he said in the end, it was not tactics. It was just the disbelief, and it it worked, right?
Yeah, no, it did work. It did work. It did push them a lot. I think you saw that in the first 5 to 10 minutes. The dash was like, we're on them, we're on them, we're suffocating them. But I think they showed too much respect to Gotham. I get it. Gotham was the finalist last year. Gotham won the NWSL Challenge Cup, beat a Orlando side that whooped Chicago much. We're gonna get into that later, but you know, it shows you like despite the injuries that the Spirit has, they're still a threat, and I think the Dash showed too much respect for them. But I think Fabrice like, hey, we still got him, we got him, and it showed the second half. I think sadly, the two goals that were given up, they were just moments of lack of concentration or rookie mistakes. I think you think by the next game, those things will be ironed out, or you think you will expect that coming forward this season. What do you think, OSG?
No, not in the long haul. Not in the long haul. I think it's expected coming out in the beginning. You're playing an opponent an opponent like Washington. I mean, they lost the cup. They lost the title. They just won the Challenge Cup, and then you outperformed them in this game. So no, long haul. I think there are things to fix. They're gonna be able to fix them. The subs that came in made a great difference. The belief is in Fabrice. The girls seem to be happy at this point. Oh man, it's just so no, I there's a lot of potential. There's a lot to build off. There's a lot to come with, and there's a lot to next. So this next game will be a big judgment as well. At the same time, you're playing top tier now. You're coming down here per se. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I think Jane for me I think it was her best game in a dash jersey. A couple of, I would say first game mistakes, that will happen, because they're not technically match fitness ready, but I think it's just something that they will have to iron out by the next game or the third game. Things will come naturally after that, but my question to you is there, before we go think about the preview for Chicago, any subs that came in on or the second half of this game should battle it out for the starting 11th for the next game? Which player you would thought that will earn her spot for the next game?
Well, I mean, all right. So, I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, three players right off the bat. You had Ryan Gary's come in and made a difference with her speed. Not only with her speed, she took on the defender and went to goal. So, looking for the cross, maybe not looking for the cross, made it, you know, non Aliu like. Uh, I mean, Evelina Dujan was the spark for me that I noticed immediately when she came on, and then the moment she came on throughout and stood up to Trinity Rodman and chased Trinity Rodman down to say something to her and let her know I'm here to play, girl, and had a couple words, and it was fun to see, and that player was a spark to me. I hope to see more minutes from her. Will she start? I want to go back to something you said earlier, back in when the starting 11, and Fabrice went with experience, and I think that was something to be safe with. Game number two, granted being on the road, does he play safe or does he move on to some more players that kind of showed a little momentum in that game? At the same time, what do you do? I would like to see some momentum and just go attack Chicago, but playing experience. Sophie Schmidt, I'm sorry, she might just become a role player coming off the bench for now. There's just so many these new players coming in and making a difference already, or showing a potential of difference that uh, Fabrice has a lot to work with, and I love the rotation that's possible there.
Yeah, I think it's a good headache to have. I think when players came off the bench and make impact like that, that's a good headache. You don't want players, unlike you see from the Dynamo, that do the same thing that they replace the current players. Go ahead, LG. What you got?
No Zoe Matthews, no Amanda West. They didn't make the bench. I don't know if they were hurt or not. I didn't hear that, but they didn't make the bench because the bench was full.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about too. So you have options.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, looking up Elvelina, she has a long career, but she's only 21. And that's interesting for me. Only 21. She always went to Juventus, Orlando Pride, and now Houston Dash. And so she has a coming into her prime, and I think she has a point to prove, in the WSL. But I think it's a lot. It's a good upside, coming from this Houston Dash. I think compared to last season, I think we had the expectations to the ground, and now it's like, okay, I think this ceiling could be much higher, coming this season. So it's really, really promising. So now going to their next game coming up, which is on Sunday, at 4 p.m. with the Chicago Stars, not Red Stars, just Stars. I don't know why they just complete the Red Stars. I don't know, but unfortunately for the Chicago Stars, they lost 6-0 to Orlando Pride. I'm like, I don't know. After seeing that scoreline and seeing the performance, I was like, I think the Dash should win this game. How do you feel about this game coming up with Chicago?
Watching how we performed in the second half, hoping that we can continue with that. Seeing their score line gave me a lot of confidence. Watching their game with the highlights, you're playing the best team in the league, no matter what anybody else has to say right now. I don't think Orlando Pride is just unfriggin' stoppable, and they just no kidding. Chicago defended with a 4-4-2,
Hmm.
and I guess tried to attack. There wasn't anything they could really do to attack. Orlando just was too much, but I'm they have Melissa Nair, whatever, as the keeper. You know who she is. She can stop anything and everything. But so it's up to Chicago. Doesn't have the namesake. The players they're struggling. They Shea Groom, one of ours from old is over there playing for them. So I root for her, but I'm positive right now that we can get a result and we can get a very positive result in Chicago on Sunday.
Yeah, I believe so as well. Interesting. Reading up on Chicago. Of course they have as you mentioned, Alyssa Nair. Who retired from the U.S. national team. I think per se, I think she has a better national team record than club record.
Mhm.
I think I believe that just because of the players she had in Chicago, not more because of her quality, just because I think players she has in Chicago. Still a keeper that can block everything. I think a player, okay, two players or three players to watch out for. Julia Grosso, the Canadian international, who sort of replaced Sophie Schmidt in the national team. you know, a great player that she spent a lot of time in Juventus. Recently, came over. She was the best performing player against Orlando. So I think she will be the one that I think the Dash should watch out. She should be the one that controls tempo, controls the game, and gets that ball through the final third. So that'll be my player to watch out for. Two players, other players that sadly, you know, maybe they will make it the roster or not. Mallory Swanson, for some reason, she's out for personal reasons. So that's a huge boost for the Dash. She hasn't been training, she hasn't been in the squad. So that's if a moment to get a result right now, it's now. Mallory Swanson, despite, not even have a good support team, when she gets the ball, she's dangerous you know. So and of course they have a good center back who's coming back from injury, Samantha Stab. You also U.S. Women's national uh, defender. But the problem she's coming back, so she won't be at her best. So that's a huge boost for the Dash. So hopefully it's a good result for that. But
Yeah,
uh,
Stab only played 10 minutes, and I don't think she was expected to play much.
Yeah, exactly. And she tore her ACL, when she moved to Chicago. When she moved to Chicago, literally the first game. So it was just interesting how that turn of events happened. And so I think, but she used to her quality, and not just her quality as a defender, her passing and her goal scoring as a defender is pretty eye opening. So, but hopefully she's still on that recovery mode, slow start, so the Dash can take advantage of everything. But I think look into this game, look into the results, and look into our performance. How likely that the Dash will get their first win of the season against Chicago OSG?
64% likely. 64% likely, I'm predicting a 3-1 win. That was man. That's my optimistic soccer guy side of me saying the 3-1 win. But 64%, I'm expecting to win. Just watching the two performances, who the opponents were. It's hard to say though. Orlando's just no joke. So man, based on the performance, and if we lose, it's going to be a different story, and Fabrice will have different answers to answer during the press conference. But uh, I think right now it's expecting to win. I mean, even if you looked at Vegas, expecting to win.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with you on that. I think with just the performance, if the Dash can harness that, can get that mindset, just and keep that mindset. I think we had to,
Yeah.
like I said, we saw the mindset within the first 5 to 10 minutes, and it just dropped down. But if we keep that for the whole 90, I can see the Dash win this comfortably.
Well, let me
That's
ask you real quick,
go
because
ahead.
you were at the press, and or you've been enough at enough pressers as well. Are you believing in Fabrice the way that it sounds like the players are believing in Fabrice as well?
I think it's a lot to do with everything, not just only for Breeze, but I think front office as well. I think front office, I think for the first time in a while, are supporting the coach and and they're actually working together to make a culture. In the game, Angela was there looking at the first game as the president of women's soccer, not GM, president of women's soccer. That's the new title now. You know, so so they are working hand in hand on this, and you can see that. I think the players afterwards in the press conference seem more happy, seem more joyful despite the loss. I think there's a new different aura around the team, and I think it's showing up on their performance. I think Fabrice. I think people would say, well, Fabrice is coming like same lady. Always as assistant coach, never as a head coach. But I think Fabrice had a different. I think Fabrice came here at the right time. You know, yeah, unlike Sam Lady, I think he came at the wrong time. He brought results, he brought defense, he brought everything. But I think just the circumstances and transfers and GM, it was not clicking. It was not clicking at all.
With different
And
mentalities too between the two.
yeah, exactly. Sam was more defensively, and Fabrice looks like it's going to be more attacking. But of course, the squads were different. You got to see that as well. Both squads were different. He has a lot more attacking players
Right.
now, and before it was okay. You had attacking players, but they weren't game changing players like the ones we have right now.
We didn't
So
even use Doc Bachman.
yeah, but Bachman, she just came back about a week before the game started, so she still had to go to, you know, game fitness and everything. But that shows you a lot. Bachman last year was one of the best attacking players last year, and she wasn't used this game. So it just shows a lot of how this team is growing and everything. So I believe it's all the way up, and I think uh Jeff poses a good thought. I don't know. I want to get your thoughts on this. Although we lost, I am more confident with the Dash than the Dynamo. The second half play showed more some promise. What do you think about that? I know it's a little spicy question. Do you think the Dash will have a better season than the Dynamo this year?
Man, that's a tough question to ask to answer on the long haul. Currently, in the current situation, yes, it does look like that. Even though there was a lot of not knows for the Dash coming into the season, we've only had one game, and there's a lot to see. Dynamo are just falling apart and just hitting the friggin' rock bottom, tied themselves into concrete shoes and everything. But there's a lot that's going to happen between now and the summer, and the team to build, whether they make the playoffs in the end or not, who knows? But I think the Dash have a run to run forward and stay running up that hill and not have to do one of these or do one of these and then try to climb back up. So I'm a lot more optimistic right now with the Dash season than I am with the Dynamo season, and I'm really encouraged to see the Dash season.
Yeah, I think just it's hard to say that, it's very early in both seasons. In Dynamo and Dash. Even though Dynamo had more games now, but it's still very early in the MLS season. It's very early.
Very.
But but the Dash, I think because you have less games, and also there's a lot of players outgoing in the NWSL to major teams, and that the Dash benefited a lot of incoming players as well. So I think in that aspect, I do see the Dash having a better season than the Dynamo, just because of not just their performance, but everything going around in the league. So it's very upside for them for how they're going to progress the season. So it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. But we're here, so we gotta do our predictions. What's your predictions for Chicago? Give me a good prediction there, OSG.
So I'm gonna stick with that three to one score line that I kind of mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And man, bold. I'll save the bold prediction for last, but I think Yasmin Ryan is going to break open and get into the score line this game. Barb is going to find the net as well. Barb is going to find the net as well. And then I think everybody's favorite immediately is Maggie is going to find another goal. What order they're going to be in, y'all get to figure it out. The bold prediction is Avery is going to be assist on all three of them.
I think Avery showed a lot of maturity. She was asked to do a lot this past game. So I think coming from the defense to forward line and get that hockey assist, with the pass to Ryan Garris to Maggie, it just showed a lot of maturity and development from her. So I do believe that as well. For
She
me,
was hurting. She was hurting at the end of the game when she walked through the tunnel. She was
yeah,
hurting.
I know. But it just shows the drive in her. I think her coming from the futures camp from the women's national team. I think she sees herself like, I need to pull up numbers. I need to show that I'm deserved, and she does. From last year's season to this year's, she has a lot going on right now. So, but I think for us, we should be. For me, my predictions for Sunday's game, I would say 2-0, 2-0 to the Dash. Yasmin Ryan goal, and I would do Messiah Bright. No, no, you know what? Not Messiah Bright. Delaney is she on? She's going to score. I think she's hungry for goal. You could tell the game she's hungry for goal. But I'll give you Barb 2 assists.
Barb to assist. Okay. So defensively, you said 2-0, so we get the clean sheet. Or give me your take on how Katie Lynn performed last game, and is she going to be able to fill in those Tarsi shoes?
I think for defensive wise, like you said, it was just a one-off game because you got to think about uh it's her first game back, from maternity
Right.
leave. The players that she's playing with, it's a different new line other than Jacobs, Okay, the last time she was playing, Pre-Sock was there, you know, Caprice Didasco was there, and Chapman was there.
Right.
So that whole line is new to her, so it will take a, but I think you could tell that she was slow, in some parts of the game. But I think that's why she paired up with Jacobs and Nielsen. That brings that pace, so that she won't be, you know, but you could tell that she's still mentally sharp in the game. Of course,
Right.
I think
Yeah.
I think the only problem is like the second goal. When Washington, Lynn didn't have the legs to recover the ball from Ashley Hash, and
Mhm.
Nielsen was like looking around like confused of what happened. So it's like, I think that's the only problem I see with her. just the pace. I think the league has gotten more pacier and pacier. It was for certain players, but I think overall it has gotten a lot of pacey. I think that will be something that most teams will try to exploit. But I think her performance was not the best, but I think with the circumstances, it was good enough, you know. So I think she will keep her spot as the veteran center back that she is. Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely not losing her position. She'll get her pace back. I just wanted to see what your perspective was. I enjoyed her game and was glad she was back and appreciated her comments after the game as well. You got to hear her in the presser. I talked to her out in the mix zone, and I asked her about the pressure of being coming in and filling those shoot and that role, and she's like, it's not necessarily the pressure, but it's the expectations that she is expecting to feel, and she's ready for it, and she's there to fight for it, and I'm glad to see her back, and I'm confident, and as soon as she gets that pace and that agility back, beware, she's going to be one of those best center backs in the league again, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so. I think almost a year off the game, it will show itself, but I think just getting back on and getting back on the lineup, I think it will just boost her confidence. I think as well. I think what's missing. But my last question to you, OSG, before we sign off, who will get the first win this weekend? The Dash or the Dynamo?
Woo, the dash, easy, easy.
So in two games, the Dash will get their first win. Dynamo, I don't know when. I think at this
Woo.
point, I think that point that's a little bit controversial, but I'm
Game
just
number
wondering
10 is the Dynamo's first win.
against LAFC. I'm joking.
No, game number 10. Well, I don't even know what game that is because we got it, Seattle, Portland, LAFC. Yeah, whatever. Don't, yeah, it'll be a minute. It's going to be a minute, unfortunately. But, that's why we're like, Dash has a lot more potential. And I'm definitely expecting to win here against Chicago. And then we come back home against Gotham. And as of right now, I'm kind of expecting to win against Gotham too, just because of the shenanigans Gotham has been going through in the off season and the unsurety. So we'll see. We still have another game to judge and play forward for. But Dash, easy answer.
Yeah, easy answer. I think the next game with Gotham, I think Gotham is kind of hard to tell right now. Kind of hard to tell. I think I just a lot of departures was taken from them, and then they had to reshift how they play and everything. I think if if and the good thing, I think despite the loss, I think the Dash are in a good position on the table, in the table, because everyone drew except for like three people, you know, yeah, which is Washington, Orlando, and KC, you know, while everyone drew. So if they get a
Right.
win,
Portland lost 3-1. Chicago lost 6-0, and then we lost 2-1. So of the three that lost were not the worst.
yeah, I know we're like not dead last. So for sure the Dash will not get the wooden spoon this season. So hopefully, we could push that trophy to someone else. So,
Right.
but yeah, but thank you OSG for hopping on with me today. It's a quick, good episodes. I think because we're recording this before we have the presser with Fabrice. I think so we're just going off what we have right now, and hopefully next episode we have a lot more since the game is much earlier, so we'll have more information and everything. But thank you OSG for hopping on with me. Tell the people where to find you at.
Hey, OSG, find me on Noodle Tempio on X and Dynamic Foxtrot on X. You can hear the Dash Dispatch on Foxtrot TV on YouTube, Dynamic Foxtrot on IG, OSG mileage tracker because I travel back and forth because unfortunately I still live in Austin. But man, I Manny, I want to thank you first off for the invitation tonight and coming on to do this show with you and talk Dash. I enjoy talking the Dash. I'm having a great time following the Dash and reporting the Dash this season, and I look forward to doing this back and forth. You coming on to us. We already had uh, uh we're boss man. Why am I forgetting the boss man? We're
Dustin, El
Man, we
Jefe.
already had Dustin on earlier in the season, and so hopefully I can come on again later in the season and maybe even meet Diego too at the same time. So having a good time, man. Thank you. H is up as always.
Yeah, bro. I know we're happy to have you today on our episode. It's really good to have a different. I think we see the positively in the dash, and I think we just having you and other people see the same positively. It just furthermore that shows this season is different, and this season it's gonna be a lot better than last season. Hopefully, the playoffs. We'll see. I think it's too early to tell, but it looks like it. But so far just one game. But thank you everyone to join us on the Orange and Blueprints podcast. Please always look up us on biocitysoccer.net, our website, or BioCity Soccer on X, Instagram, YouTube, and on Blue Sky. Well, thanks to the hub, and we'll be back next Wednesday to recap the Chicago game and the preview for Gotham. But until then, see you next time.